Thank you all for sticking around for our public hearing, which will commence now at 6 o'clock. Commissioners, thank you. Mr. County Administrator, what's our first item on our public hearing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, item number 16 is the first and only public hearing to consider adopting a resolution that includes an inventory list of properties appropriate for affordable housing. As required by Florida statutes, this item requests that the board conduct the first and only public hearing to adopt the resolution to add 6 parcels to the affordable housing inventory list of properties which the county or any dependent special district within its boundaries has deemed appropriate for the use of affordable housing. Again, this is pursuant to Florida statutes. This item comes to you at this time each year. We're recommending option 1, and we have no speakers on this item.
Mr. Chairman, move option 1.
Commissioner Minor has moved option 1, seconded by Commissioner Maddox. Do we have any discussion? All right, Commissioner O'Keefe, I know this one's close to your heart. You good?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, Commissioners, seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Next item, Mr. County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, this item number 17, requests the board to conduct the second and final public hearing for the FY24 Small Cities CDBG opportunity. The item also seeks board authorization to submit a CDBG application in the amount of $7.1 million for improvements to the Fort Braden Community Center. We're recommending options 1 and 2.
I second.
Well, we've got a motion by Commissioner Maddox and a second from Commissioner Cummings. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners. Mr. County Administrator, our last item on public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to hand this off to the County Attorney.
Thank you. Agenda item number 18 is the first and only public hearing to consider an ordinance regarding the safe use of public rights-of-way. As directed by the board at its meetings on February 11th and March 18th of this year, this item presents options for addressing public safety and pedestrian activities within the public rights-of-way. There are 2 potential proposed ordinances attached to the agenda item. One that prohibits the occupation of medians smaller than 6 feet wide. The other ordinance, as directed by the board, mirrors the City of Tallahassee ordinance number 18-0-17 in all material respects. Happy to answer any questions the board may have. Board recommendation or staff recommendation is option number 3, board direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Mr. Administrator, I think we have a few speakers, yeah?
We do, Mr. Chairman. The first speaker, Charlene Stuckey, to be followed by Alan Ballas.
Ms. Stuckey, come right to the podium and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Charlene Stuckey. I live at 8508 Southminster Court in Tallahassee.
Thank you.
I want to say I appreciate this opportunity to share my ideas or my perceptions on this. I had understood this was more about giving aid to homeless people. Can anyone confirm that's what this is about?
Yeah, it's about public safety, the item is.
Because if it's about the homeless people panhandling, I don't see any reason for it to be a county issue, because once you get past Capitol Circle, there's nobody panhandling. My concern is that when I go into Tallahassee, I had no idea they had an ordinance like this, that you can be arrested for handing a person a bottle of water from your car. I actually thought it was worse than that. I thought it was helping homeless people anywhere, anytime. But I understand now, I've been told that it pertains to helping people panhandling at intersections. But so I had no idea I could be arrested for doing that. I don't do it because I don't carry money to hand to them. But, you know, I do help homeless people, not from my car, but, you know, if someone's hungry and I can help them, take them to a Subway, or, you know, if I'm near a Subway or something like that, I'll take them in and buy them a sandwich. But I just don't see how this pertains to the county, because no one's panhandling outside the city. That's all I really had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stuckey. Next speaker.
The next speaker is Alan Ballas, to be followed by our final speaker, Kenneth White.
Mr. Ballas? Oh, sorry. Is Stanley in there, Mr. Administrator?
He must be. I see him moving around out there, but yes, we'll call on him.
Mr. Ballas, state your name and address for the record, please. You got 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Alan Ballas. My Tallahassee address is 428 Crossway Road, Tallahassee, Florida. First of all, I want to thank you so much for bringing this issue up. And truly, I want to thank Commissioner Proctor and his aide, Rochelle. They have been just wonderful in working with the people of the south side of the county and the issues that are going on there. Back to your initial thing, safety. This is number one. Somebody's going to get, you know, they go walking through the roads to pick up the money, you know, not the roads, the cars. And another person's going to end up stopping, and somebody's going to end up rear-ending them. Somebody's going to get hurt. This has just got to be the tip of the iceberg. I use the line from Beverly Hills Cop. We need a multi-jurisdictional task force. In other words, we need the city working with the county, with the sheriff, with the homeless, and everything to help. My personal request is that you do it to match the city of Tallahassee, which has actually had some citations, but mostly they give warnings. You know, we don't want to be putting people in jail. We don't want to arrest anybody, but we want to get the word out. You know, there's basically, to me, the pandering are three different groups of people. First of all, there's a lot of, I understand it pays about $200 a day. There's people that can work, that have a house, that claim to be a vet, that claim to be homeless, and they're taking the money, it's black market money, and they're getting it tax-free. The other ones are the people that have a drug addiction, and they need help. And what we're doing is we're giving them more money to support their addiction. I want to help as much as we can, and by giving this money that goes into the black market, it's just wrong. And then thirdly is the mentally ill too. They need help, and we need to help them. So it's not just a small thing. We've got to try something different. Doing the same thing and expecting different results, you know what that is, the definition. You know, and I'm volunteering my time to help too. And just a little about me. I'm from Leon County. I graduated in Leon High. I was the postmaster of Woodville. I own 3 properties off Oak Ridge Road, and I've got 8 that are in Commissioner Proctor's district. I'm not sorry, 6. Everything I rent is between $700 and $1,400, and I'm putting in another one that's going to be right at about $1,000. I want to help the citizens of Tallahassee, the good people. And I appreciate the time that y'all have done. I'm asking that you vote for this and to give it a chance. Try something new and work with everybody to get this done. I don't want people to be given tickets and arrested, but given warnings and a first chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ballas. Next speaker.
Kenneth White, to be followed by Stanley Sims.
Mr. White, name and address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Kenneth White. I live at 427 Crossway Road, Tallahassee. I just wanted to say that since I bought the house there, the homeless issue has become a pretty big deal. It's kind of a problem. The panhandling that goes on is definitely adding to it. we're removing some of the homeless from different locations only for them to relocate somewhere else. It's created kind of a stigma for that area, I guess, too. Really, once they know that they can get away with panhandling in one area, they kind of stay there. My property is pretty much right across the street from Allen's, and they use that as a thoroughfare there to get to outside on the street on Capitol Circle to panhandle. It's the homeless there, it's not going away until you take away some of their way to make money like that. They're going to stay as long as they can continue to panhandle. That's their only source of income, I know, but if we don't get them off the street there, it's just adding to it. It's not going to go away, the homeless. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. White. And our final speaker, Mr. Sims.
Stanley Sims, 1320 Avondale Way, your community gator locator. And why am I here today is because it's two main reasons, Mr. Maddox, that I want you all to examine. Number one, look at the targeted population that you're getting ready to regulate against. I love my brothers. But everybody out there is not intentionally sinning. My second thing is, I'm not happy with the ordinance that was written by the city, but I think that it's going to be problematic if we have two different ordinances. What I think, and that's a big deal because I think I'm very important, I think the implementation and how we enforce it will determine whether or not we be successful. I do give you credit. I don't know about $200 a day, or hell, I'll be out there with a sign. But that's not the whole demographics. You go on Pensacola Street, I would say 45% of the panhandlers are in need of mental health services. So do we arrest people because the government failed to provide the necessary services? Then I want to talk about, see, when Kendrick Lamar said they not like us because they don't live among us. Just because I walk through your property don't make you know me. You want to know how I live? Take some of them shoes off and put on some of the shoes and clothing and the lifestyle that a panhandler has. I ain't here to push them down, to derogatory them, but I do admit that this needs to be dealt with compassion. Not a carrot, not a stick, but a carrot. The only reason I'm not panhandling in the day is because of God's grace.
Amen.
That's the only reason. And so when you look at that, you know a lot of this is not their fault. And I just wanted to come up and say that. And Mr. Caban, you are right. You share a dais with some great community leaders. We only just not have a worldwide county administrator, but I appreciate the fact that you guys don't always get along, but you don't never get disrespectful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Any more speakers? Mr. Administrator, that's all our speakers. Commissioners, we are in discussion. Commissioner Proctor is first in the queue, followed by Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Proctor?
Commissioners, I've heard the speakers, appreciate their time. We've listened to other input. We ourselves have had our own experiences And we note the pedigree of ordinance addressing this has already been specifically adopted by the city. And this is why all of those considerations and with all of the deliberation which we've given, as well as considering the historic conversations and deliberations of the city of Tallahassee, I offer as a motion, option 2.
All right, Commissioners, we have a motion for staff, board direction, option 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Caban. We are in discussion on option 2. I believe option 2 is the city's ordinance? Okay. Commissioner Maddox, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've gone back and forth about this, had a lot of conversation. I don't believe option 2 is the answer. I actually am partial to option 1. And so I'll make a substitute motion, Mr. Chair, for option 1, which is
That's the FDOT guidelines
yeah,
for 6-foot wide medians.
smaller than 6-foot wide medians. I'll make a substitute motion there, and I'll.
Okay, we've got a substitute. We got a substitute motion, seconded by Commissioner Cummings. Commissioner Maddox, we're back to you.
I would, Commissioner Cummings, if you don't mind, I would like to amend the ordinance to reflect the $250 fine or 30 days in jail instead of 560. Madam Attorney, is there any, is that something that we can do?
That's within the discretion of the board to lower the potential penalty. Please understand, though, to the extent there is any potential jail time,
Yes,
it
ma'am.
will still be considered a crime
Okay.
and subject to prosecution as a misdemeanor.
Is there any way I could just have it be a civil offense?
Fines only would mean that it's civil only, and it would not be criminal in nature, and it would not be prosecuted as a misdemeanor.
Madam Immediate Past Chair, I'm not sure I want this to be criminal. And so if I could, I would like to amend just to say a $250 fine and take out the 30 days in jail. If you would accept that. The reason I like option number 1 is because it's stood tried and true. It's been there for a while. It's been challenged. It's been seen to be by the courts to be legal, or what the word I need to use for it is. Basically, it was challenged and it stood in court. And so I feel safe with that, knowing that we have something that if it is challenged, that we'll be able to keep it on our books. I'm not in favor of trying to make this into a criminal offense. Civil's fine, and even with the civil offense, if you think about it, $250, I believe, is something that I think we can all deal with. A lot of people, and the young lady who came up earlier mentioned this being about homeless. For me personally, I have seen groups fundraise, whether it be Maddox Youth Dance Company or other groups. And I have even seen instances where it's gotten real dangerous, where you've had people in those medians that were trying to walk up and down the street and get money, and people were nearly hit because of it. And so for me, it's not, when you talk about health, safety, and welfare, which is what we're supposed to be doing up here, that's exactly what this is about. It's health, safety, and welfare. And so if I believe the ordinance says 6 feet or more sidewalk or median, then we're fine, right? And a median is described as something that's in between roadways, correct, Madam Attorney? So that keeps people out of our roadways. And if they're on the sidewalk, so be it. But I believe this puts us in a place where at least, again, we're doing what I'm concerned with, which is protecting the health, safety, or welfare of anyone that may be in our roads, fundraising or otherwise. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Cummings, followed by Commissioner Proctor, Minor, and O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I certainly, I second the substitute motion, and I support it. I support the draft ordinance that was done by our county attorney, as opposed to the ordinance that the city has already implemented, primarily because the draft ordinance only involves the median. Am I correct, Madam County Attorney? And when I read the city ordinance, it involves sidewalks and bike lanes and what have you. But what was drafted in attachment 1, the way I read it, it only involves medians less than 6 feet. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And we are also not talking about any particular group. I think all of us have experienced fundraisers of different individuals, even our high school students, elementary students with buckets soliciting funds, and it's just heart-wrenching and cringing to see them running out in the streets, cars moving, even with your own car, moving close to them as well. So to me, the overarching theme is health, safety, welfare, not only of the pedestrians, but of those who are driving the vehicles as well. I believe adopting the amendment makes it least restrictive, because we're only talking about that median. We are not making any discretion as far as individuals. We're not targeting any groups or individuals, and I believe it will just pass scrutiny if we have to, because I believe that we do have a significant governmental interest in the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens and of those that are soliciting funds, or for whatever reason as well. So I certainly support the substitute motion, right?
Thank you, Commissioner Cummings. Commissioner Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is somewhat of a rhetorical question. Madam County Attorney, how many roads in our community, in the county, would actually have a 6 feet or wider median? Can you identify those?
I would have no idea. Public Works might have that information, though.
Okay. If I might ask the same question, how many roads would this apply to?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Sure, go ahead.
Public Works analyzed 16 high-frequency intersections. Only 3 of these intersections are in the unincorporated area. Only 2 of those intersections have medians less than 6 foot wide. That would be Mahan Drive, Lagnappy. Lagnappy's got less than a 6 foot median. And then on Woodville Highway. Woodville Highway is less than 6 foot.
So this ordinance proposes to allow for solicitation, not that word, but people to wander and do what they do?
This ordinance would prohibit them to be in medians less than 6 foot wide, which would be roads such as Lagnappy in front of Walmart, the Bass Pro area, and then on Woodville Highway only. The medians on Capitol Circle are actually 13 feet wide.
So this does allow people, not 5'11", but 6 feet.
The medians such as Lagnappy is a 3 foot wide median, so they would not be allowed on that median.
It would not be allowed?
Would not be allowed on that median, correct.
Okay. How many roads would be allowed under this construction of the ordinance?
All the other intersections are in the city limits, so the city ordinance would apply to those intersections.
Okay. This applies, Madam Attorney, in the county, right? Okay.
This ordinance would apply in the unincorporated area because the city already has an ordinance in effect within the city limits.
Right. Are there any ordinances which the county might make which preempts the city's ordinances?
Under the Leon County Charter, to the extent there is a conflict between a city ordinance and a county ordinance, the city ordinance governs within the city limits.
Is this considered a conflict or a companion or a compatible ordinance?
You're talking about option number 1?
Yes.
Okay. The city's ordinance is actually more stringent than what is contemplated in option 1. So within the city limits, the city's ordinance would govern.
Okay. So I'm trying to find out from what Commissioner Maddox has made motion that we would put into play is the number of areas for which persons could stand in the roadway? And are there any? And if so, how can we identify which we know? I mean, because in a way, when officers say, well, no, they're standing in, oh yeah, we got a checklist, we know it's okay, it's permissible. Which ones are permissible? What's a 6-foot median? You mean when you say, because when I read it, are we talking about a median that's going horizontal? Are we talking about a median that goes from vertical, the same direction, linear, with the lanes of traffic? Is that the median, that it's a 6-foot thingy in the divide? Or is it 6 feet, not in length, but in width, being wide? What is this saying?
So when you have a median that breaks up two parallel lanes of traffic, 6 feet in width, anything less than 6 feet in width, people would be prohibited from standing on.
Do we have any existing medians that are 6 feet and greater? Brent, do we have any medians that are 6 feet and greater? And if so, which are they?
In the unincorporated area, we could have 3 areas.
Okay. And what are those 3?
Okay, so Woodville Highway and Capitol Circle, the medians on Capitol Circle are greater than 6 feet. The medians on Woodville Highway are not.
Now, you took your tape measure out, or I need to take mine out?
No, staff did measure these, physically
Okay,
measure.
so Woodville Highway and.
So Woodville Highway, you could not, but on Capitol Circle at the intersection, you could.
Okay. What's the second?
Mahan Drive and Lagnappy Way. Lagnappy Way, you cannot, but on Mahan Drive, you could.
Mahan and what?
That's Lagnappy, in front of the Walmart Bass Pro intersection.
In front of Costco.
Yeah, Costco.
Okay, Costa.
I could be spelling that or saying that wrong.
And what is our final one?
And then your last one is on Highway 27, Monroe Street at Sessions Road. Sessions Road has no medians, but Monroe Street does. I believe they're about 13 feet wide.
27 is east or north, Havana or heading?
It'd be north of I-10, so between I-10 and Havana. It's near the Walmart intersection.
Okay, okay. For me, commissioners, thank you, Brent. I'm satisfied that we have but 3 spots that are exempt under this particular ordinance. So we've pretty much accomplished my desire for sanity with respect to intersection and roadway safety. And 27 North, so we're still going to have a problem, Commissioner Minor, because when you come and get off of I-10, heading west, you take that exit and come up to Monroe Street, 27, there's always hell to pay, and there's always somebody there to who want to lighten your load and take a little load off your wallet. Is that that's protected, Madam Attorney? At the interstate exchange of 27 and I-10, when you come off of I-10 and come up the ramp, and you're trying to make a left to go back toward Cracker Barrel, yeah, downtown. That's still permissible right there on that corner.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
So if that's in the unincorporated area and not covered by the city ordinance and the city limits, if that median is greater than 6 feet in width, then option number 1 would not prohibit people from being in that median.
Right. Is that in the city? Is that area in the
It
city?
is in the city.
It is? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, Commissioners, I think that this policy accomplishes what I believe we wanted to do. And neither I nor others desire to make anything criminal. It's not a desire. I want to make things safer. Thank you very much. I will support this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Proctor. Commissioner Minor, you're next in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also wanted to express my support for the substitute motion, as well as the amendment that Commissioner Maddox and Commissioner Cummings have agreed to. I think that makes sense in terms of removing the potential jail time. The reason why I'm going to support this is mainly because of the FDOT design manual and that aspect of anything less than 6 feet width is not deemed as a safe pedestrian refuge. So I think that makes that the right decision here, so I'm going to support the substitute motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Minor. Commissioner O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, can either the county attorney or county administrator confirm, under this option, am I understanding correctly that there is still a penalty for a physical exchange between a pedestrian and a driver, no matter the size of the median?
Madam Attorney?
Which ordinance are you referring to?
Ordinance 1.
Ordinance number 1. That doesn't address any specific activity. It just regulates someone's presence in the median of less than 6 feet in width, period.
Okay. And then, as the current motion sits, we would be considering fines, which would not be open that up to jail time. Does that change this so that none of these infractions would make their way through a court system, through the state attorney or the detention center?
It's my understanding that if there is no potential for jail time, and I have confirmed this with our criminal justice partners, that it would not go through the state attorney's office of prosecution. Instead, a citation would be issued, and the fine would need to be paid. But it would not be prosecuted like a misdemeanor by the state attorney's office. That is correct.
Gotcha. And so I'm assuming many folks won't be able to pay these fines. Do you know if unpaid fines from a civil ordinance like this affect people's credit history or ultimately can get them back into court if they go unpaid?
I do not know the specifics of that. I do know that there is no such thing as a debtor's prison anymore. But in terms of the specifics of what happens when people don't pay fines, I'm sorry, I don't have that information.
Okay. All right. So currently we're sitting on ordinance number 1, option number 1. And while it is softer than option 2 that matches the city, and I appreciate the sort of softening of the penalties, I still oppose this because I think it still poses a risk that it could put someone in a situation where they're interacting with law enforcement that may lead to other issues, and I think that it also won't be effective. And I think, honestly, we're calling this safe use right of way, but let's be honest what we're really talking about. We're talking about visible poverty. We're talking about people standing at intersections and medians, holding signs, asking for help. And it never says the word panhandling, but that's who it targets. And the impact is going to fall hardest on people already struggling the most. And so that's why when this came on the agenda, I reached out to the public defender, the state attorney, and the sheriff's office to get a bigger picture. And notwithstanding the current modification, the public defender did continue to oppose these ordinances under the risk that they could criminalize or penalize homelessness, lead to more arrest, or add to court burdens with cases that don't make anyone safer. The state attorney did say that option 2 could face a constitutional challenge, but of course he'll enforce whatever we put into force. He did say that it would be best for them if the city and the county were consistent, but I don't think consistency is a reason for flawed policy. We've also heard from our county attorney that laws like this, especially when they limit how people can express themselves in public places, can be and are likely legally vulnerable under the First Amendment. And courts have said over and over that asking for help is protected speech, including panhandling, and yet we're moving forward anyways. Even beyond the legal risk, I'm concerned especially what this says about our values. Just as we're starting to do better in addressing homelessness in our county, we started to increase support for homeless services. We're beginning to explore new investments in affordable rental housing for people with low and very low incomes. So we're taking incremental steps in improving, but something like this could set us back. And we still have a long way to go. We've seen other cities that take punitive approaches, like Jacksonville, get sued over ordinances on First Amendment grounds. They were sued by the Homeless Voice, which is a newspaper that, in addition to challenge the law, it's a homeless newspaper that kind of shows us a path forward of something we ought to be copying. Through their newspaper, they give people panhandling experiencing homelessness a way to contribute, a way to put together a product, a newspaper in this case, and to sell it for a profit and to become part of the community and tell their story. These kind of programs have worked in major cities, DC, Nashville, Boston, and they're a compassionate, effective way to do it, but following like Jacksonville, we're not doing something like that. We are actually moving an ordinance that would preclude us from new ideas like that. If we pass this ordinance, I'm concerned we don't just open ourselves up to legal challenges, but we do prevent better solutions. And we send the message that public need and poverty is something we can punish or legislate out of view. I don't think that's who we are, so I'm voting no. I'm asking you to vote no on any ordinance, and I'd like us to focus on helping people and treating everyone with the dignity they deserve.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Keefe. Commissioner Caban, you were in the queue. Are you out of the queue?
No.
You're in the queue. Okay, can I let him go and then?
I'll defer to Commissioner Maddox. if
Okay,
that's
Commissioner
with you.
Maddox, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think I started my points with, this is about health, safety, and welfare. There's nothing that irritates me more than when I state my intentions and they're not respected. No part of me making the motion I made was about homelessness. No part of it was about panhandling. No part of it was about precluding people from being able to have freedom of speech in any way. It was about health, safety, and welfare of Leon County citizens. You cannot tell me nor convince me that it is safe for someone to be in a median doing anything in the way of what we're talking about here. And, I believe who said it, but I think Commissioner Minor brought it up. A median or any sidewalk less than, or anything less than 6 feet is not deemed to be safe. So again, I don't want this to be twisted. At least for me, I don't want this to be twisted because I'm the maker of the motion and I want my intent to be respected. And that again, my intent in making the motion was to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Leon County citizens, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Again, I've seen children in the medians fundraising. That is not safe. I've seen adults in the median fundraising. That is not safe. Homeless or not, I've seen firemen carry boots up and down the road. That is not safe. It's not safe. So I don't appreciate it and I don't respect it when again, I'm the maker of the motion and my intent is stated very plainly. Nobody in here that's listening to me can think anything else besides the fact that my motion is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Leon County citizens. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Caban, did you want to say something?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I first would like to start and thank Commissioner Maddox. I appreciate your sensitivity, compassion, and thoughtfulness related to this motion. I plan on supporting it. I do have a couple of questions. I don't know if it's for the county attorney, county administrator, Mr. Chair. I'll just ask the question. They can jump out if wherever it's pertaining to. But with a civil citation, what teeth do we have to be able to enforce it? And so I guess an example is the best way to describe it. If someone is standing in the median and law enforcement sees them and they come give them a citation or fine, is there any ability to get them out of the median?
If they're violating the ordinance, ultimately, they can be given a warning for trespass. And if they refuse to leave, then they could be guilty of trespass, in which case that is a crime. So that is a tool in the toolbox for law enforcement, for people who refuse to stop violating the county's ordinance, if that's the selection, the option that the board chooses to go with.
So to Commissioner Maddox's point, this starts with like a warning and a civil citation would be the very basis of it. And if for whatever reason, someone who is in the median refuses to leave, then law enforcement has the ability to issue a trespass, and eventually it's a criminal fine a criminal charge at that point.
It's my understanding, yes, because they would receive a warning, and they would be given an opportunity to leave. Only at that point could they be arrested for a trespass.
Okay, so I agree with you, Commissioner Maddox. I feel like this is very well poised to give those who are not following this civil citation that we're looking to enforce. I think it gives them enough tools and enough bite to be able to enforce it, which is what I care about. My next question is, I heard Brent Pell from Public Works say that there's only a very few medians that are larger than 6 foot. Why are medians larger than 6 foot deemed safe versus a 6 foot median? If someone is standing in a median on the side of the road, is that not equally as unsafe? That's kind of what I'm like, why are we just saying 6 feet? I think part of the issue is, walking through the roadway and then standing on the curb, right? If you're panhandling. And the next is, I don't know what they're called, but when you have it might be a median, but I think I'm using Capitol Circle and Highway 20 as an example. When you're turning left or right, going on Highway 20, you have those triangular medians that are like where the crosswalks are. They're like a step out in the crosswalk. Those are way larger than 6 feet, from my understanding. So does this ordinance contain those as well, Madam Attorney?
That's a technical question that I would defer to Public Works.
I drew a little map to describe what I'm talking about, but I'm embarrassed of it. But for commissioners, I'm talking about these things here, if you're turning this way.
That's helpful.
Good evening, Commissioners. I believe that's referenced as a pedestrian refuge, and as you said, it's greater than 6 feet, so therefore it would not be prohibited to be within that.
Is it considered a median, though, or is it? It's not a sidewalk.
No, it's not a sidewalk. It's a pedestrian refuge, so it's not a median. It's not dividing, obviously, two opposite lanes of traffic. So I wouldn't call it a median.
Okay. Commissioners, I feel like that's something worth pointing out, is that when I oftentimes see folks panhandling, I see them in those left or right-hand turning lane, and that's where I think it's the most dangerous, is you go turn right, if you're going on a roadway and you turn right, and they're standing literally right there on the road. I put it like this. I think this motion is a good start, but I think it's still leaving areas that I believe are very unsafe. And so for what it's worth, I just want to throw that out there. Commissioner Max, I plan on supporting your motion, but these areas right here that I'm talking about, if you're turning this way or here, I think are a danger or vulnerability for folks who are panhandling. But if it's not something that we think that is legally defendable, I hear that, but I think it is something that poses a high risk. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Point of information.
Sure, go ahead.
For confirming on this ordinance about it being more than just standing in a median, on section 17.17-14, prohibited acts in ordinance under C, it shall be unlawful for a person to engage in any physical interaction between a pedestrian and occupant of a motor vehicle, including the transfer of any product or material, while the motor vehicle is located on the roadway within the county is not legally parked. So isn't that saying that we also are permitting a physical exchange of anything in any roadway where the vehicle is not parked, no matter of median or sidewalk or size?
So are you looking at the ordinance on page 704 of the agenda materials?
Correct, yes. I'm looking at most way down the page under line 30, C.
Yeah. I mean, so yes, that would be prohibited, but if you look at under line 22, it says it shall be unlawful for a person to stop, stand, or otherwise occupy a median that is not a sufficient pedestrian refuge within the county when that person is not in the process of lawfully crossing the roadway in accordance with the applicable traffic and safety laws. And if you go up to the definition of pedestrian refuge, that is already defined as an area that is less than 6 feet in width.
But so section C is limited by section A. I just want to be clear that your answer to my question before on this was, this only penalizes holding and communicating things in the defined median. But I'm seeing item C that says it is also unlawful for a physical exchange and on any roadway within the county. So I want to make sure I understand, is that also penalized?
That would only apply to activities of people on medians. And again, it's a subset, but A would include C, technically. But it does call out an exchange in C. But if you're standing on a median of less than 6 feet in width and doing nothing but that, you're already violating this ordinance. It would also violate it if you do exchange. You're right about that.
So if I pull up to a intersection and there's a median greater than 6 feet and someone asks for a bottle of water and I hand them a bottle of water, am I in any violation? Under
No.
this ordinance? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Proctor.
Thank you very much. We're talking about a bottle of water. It's become illegal to hand somebody a bottle of water if they're standing in line to vote. And I realize that we wade out in the weeds of fostering illegality. But the folk, they're earning monies to, we've looked out the window and you've seen people out there on that swing wiping down the windows of the state's capitol. You've seen people hanging on a swing, wiping the windows of the Turlington building, Department of Education building. And people do strange things for money, and I think that's dangerous, but I don't oppose them. But it's not the people who standing up there on the ladder or sitting on the ladder swinging. And it's not the people who volunteer to go out there and play Russian roulette in the midst of traffic. It's more so the drivers that I'm concerned about, and the intimidation, the fear factors of which drivers, and they may accidentally do any number of things when people are made defensive. Florida has a stand your ground law, and actually if someone approaching your vehicle in Florida also has an open carry law. And there's a grave possibility that when you mix open carry with stand your ground and somebody that makes you feel uncomfortable, some bad things can happen. But my thought is not for those people who choose to earn their living by walking, you know, some people walk up in the circus and they get on a little hold a stick up and walk across with no net. That's what they want to do. But it's the driver who could end up in a situation of which we're looking out for. County Attorney, I want to actually thank you for option one and piece of work that I think you've carved out something which gathers an overwhelming majority of the commission. And when you're creative like this and hear our voices, and maybe we, in our heart of hearts, did not want to replicate the city in full, but you had a meter reader, and you measured the indexes of our hearts, and you know that we wanted to do something, but not to foster the criminality of which the city's ordinance. So I appreciate and respect your balancing the interests of what we wanted to do, but maybe not with the slamming impact. Commissioner O'Keefe, your comments and concerns are compelling, and no doubt it's good that your empathies run high, and your comments, I think we all have weighed. But in weighing, you know, and that's what we do here, balancing of interests, our commitments to safety and the concerns of drivers across our community, that's a very compelling point for us to keep in mind. So I didn't want to leave tonight, and I didn't, Commissioner Maddox indicated his intent, and I heard him twice the first time he said his intent, but I also heard what you said. But I'm okay and comfortable that County Attorney has done a wonderful job to capture our concerns with, I think, minimal impact to the public in a way that it would hurt. With the failure to pay those fines turn into judgment. And if I'm wrong, Madam Attorney, correct me, and those judgments can turn into liens. So given that sequencing, folk can still be hurt a little bit with those liens. So but we have to balance the public's interest. And tonight, there are far more cars, the traffic, far more people who are driving. And if you want to quantify it, there'll be 100 people go by Woodville Road and Capitol Circle, Crawford Road, Capitol Circle. It'll be 100 drivers in an hour and 1 or 2 people out there. And tonight, I'm voting in the interest of the 100 people who are drivers instead of the 1 or 2 people out there in the road. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Proctor. Commissioner Cummings?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real briefly, I just appreciate the commissioner's comments on these ordinances. I think we appreciate the fact that the city's ordinance is already operative and in effect, but I think what we've done here tonight is analyze the two, and I think we've made it clear that we are not concerned about criminalizing behavior, not criminalizing certain behavior. And so that's why I certainly was glad to support the substitute motion. I voted to second that motion, and I think we've done the right thing for our thoroughfares and our citizens in the county, Mr. Chair. So I just want to thank the board for your thoughtful analysis of this particular ordinance, and thank the county administrator for giving us the two to compare. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cummings, and I'll close this out just by first acknowledging our outstanding county attorney for taking our somewhat, confusing direction sometimes and bringing us back items that give us the ability to be thoughtful and considerate. And I think that this conversation that we just had is a great example of what Commissioner Caban mentioned earlier about how the public notices how we behave and how we conduct ourselves on this dais. And I think that this is a great example of that. This is a narrowly crafted motion by one of the best motion makers I've ever heard of in my limited time here. And I think it could be much more, there's a lot further we could go. And I appreciate Commissioner O'Keefe's concerns. I genuinely do. I know they're heartfelt. And at the same time, I agree with Commissioner Maddox. I think that it is a vital public safety issue, as I have discussed before. And I agree, as I have said before, I think it applies to the firemen, it applies to the cheerleaders in the road, which I have seen many times, and I hold my breath because I fear how dangerous it is. And we have had a lot of pedestrian tragedies in this community over the last 4 or 5 years. There's far too many people out in the roadway. And this is I think, a measured approach at trying to discourage that. And so I want to thank you all as commissioners for the way you conduct yourselves, and I think that we have a lot to be proud of on this board and how we deal with these sensitive issues. I don't think we're trying to violate anybody's First Amendment rights. We're trying to be very careful and very sensitive to people's God-given rights, and we want to help people, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it involves us having these types of conversations. So I want to commend you guys. I want to commend our county attorney and her staff, who do a really unbelievable job, right? They could start a powerhouse law firm in and of themselves, guiding corporate boards to make these types of decisions. And so that, coupled with our county administrator and his great work, I think that I'm going to support the substitute motion, and we'll have a vote. So just wanted to close by saying thank y'all. If there's no other discussion, we've got a motion, substitute motion by Commissioner Maddox, seconded by Commissioner Cummings. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so it passes 6-1 with Commissioner O'Keefe opposing. And I believe that's it, commissioners. Thank you all for a really good, productive meeting. I will see you. Oh, real quickly? Yes, sir. Do we have that?
We don't have any.
We don't have anything like that on our agenda. So thank you all so much. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. We're adjourned.